The Yankees just lost another series, this time to Baltimore. And honestly, this felt like the continuation of everything we've been warning about. Because the Yankees didn't just lose games in this series, they lost control of the structure holding them together. Another blown lead, another game where the offense disappeared, and now the injuries are starting to pile up too. Stanton is still on the IL. Domínguez is on the IL. Caballero just landed on the IL. And now Max Fried just left with an elbow issue? This wasn't just a series loss. This felt like the margin actually breaking. Game 1, we lose 3-2. Weathers went 6.1 innings, gave up one hit in the 7th inning, 2 earned runs, 3 walks, 9 strikeouts. He had a no-hitter going through 6. In the 7th inning, he had that hit and a walk, and Hedrick comes in and gives up a 3-run home run with the 2 runners on base that he inherited from Weathers. We had a 2-0 lead, blown. Rice went 2 for 4 with the home run and 2 RBIs. And you start to wonder, was this a hangover from Milwaukee? Is this mental? It's literally losing the same way for the 3rd game in a row. 2-0 lead, blown. Game 2, we end up winning 6-2. Warren went 5.2 innings, gave up 4 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, and 6 strikeouts. Looked pretty good. Goldschmidt hit a home run on the very first pitch of the game to give us a 1-0 lead. He went 2 for 4. And I think the biggest moment of this game was Cody Bellinger beating out a double play ball to extend the inning. And this was in the 3rd inning. If they turn the double play, the inning ends, no runs score. Because Bellinger beat out that throw to first base, the Yankees end up scoring 5 runs with 2 outs after that. They win by 4 runs. You do the math. And game 3, we come out and lose 7-0. Max Fried went 3 innings, gave up 5 hits, 3 earned runs, 1 walk, and 2 strikeouts, left the game after the 3rd with an elbow issue. Not good. Jazz ends up going 1 for 3, getting the only Yankees hit of the game. And Volpe had his season debut going 0 for 3 with an error in the field. Also not great. So we had 1 win, 2 losses. And once again, for the 3rd day in a row, in game 1, was the blown 2-0 lead. And that is becoming a pattern. And a problem. So what held in this series? Well, the starting pitching gave us chances to win this series. In game 1, Ryan Weathers had a no-hitter through 6 innings. You should win that game. The fact that they only scored 2 runs off of a starter who came into the game with a 4.35 ERA, that's not great. So you should win game 1 based on that phenomenal starting pitching performance. They win game 2. That should have been the series. We should have won the series in the first 2 games. Unfortunately, we did not. But our starting pitching in those first 2 games was excellent. The 3rd game, unfortunately, it looks like Fried is hurt. So the second thing that held was hustle changing game 2. Cody Bellinger, like I said, beating out that ball changes everything because we could have very easily gotten swept in this series. And in the past, we've seen past Yankee teams that when you're in a losing streak and you're slumping at the plate, you don't have that hustle. You don't have that mentality. Cody Bellinger had that, and it changed the game. Instead of the inning being over, it becomes 5 runs. It saves the game for us, and it keeps us alive in the series to have a chance to win the series in Game 3. That is effort impacting the outcome of the game. So, good on Cody Bellinger for that. I know he didn't have a great series offensively, but the hustle is important, and that moment right there showed it. The third thing that held was the competitive response in Game 2. So, after blowing the 2-0 lead in Game 1, you come out in Game 2, you put up 6 runs, you responded to a loss. And that in itself matters. That is a positive to take out of this. Grisham had the 3-run homer. Goldschmidt had the homer. There was some positive on offense in Game 2. What did not hold was the late game stability. And this is now undeniable. Because again, for the third game in a row, the Yankees blew a 2-0 lead. You just... If you don't have a bullpen that you can rely on, I don't know how you're going to win in October. And this bullpen itself, I've said it before, it better look a whole lot different come October. And again, I do think that we have the answers internally. And when we have Cole come back, Rodon had just come back in that last game against Milwaukee. Cole will come back. Hopefully Clark Schmidt will be coming back towards the end of the summer. You can move some pieces from the starting rotation into the bullpen. You can call guys up, make some changes. But the bullpen, as it is right now, is not a championship caliber bullpen. Just not. What else didn't hold? The offensive consistency. The third game, we scored 0 runs again. This is the 4th time that the Yankees have been shut out this year. And it's the 15th game out of 44 that the Yankees have scored 3 runs or less. And in those 15 games that they've scored 3 runs or less, the Yankees are 3-12. That is abysmal. The third thing that didn't hold is the health and availability. Because this is becoming part of the story now. When your margin is already thin, injuries hit even harder. And right now, with Stanton being out, Domínguez, Caballero, and now Fried's uncertain, we better hope and pray that we get some good news from the testing that gets done tomorrow. But there is a lot of stress on this roster that is already trying to survive close games most nights. And if the guys that get called up to fill in, right now, unfortunately, Spencer Jones is struggling. He's got 1 hit. Volpe, it's only been 1 game, but he did not look good. If the guys who come up to fill in for the guys who are injured don't produce, you've got problems. Did the Yankees respond in this series? Well, again, this is complicated. Because emotionally, yes. Game 2, they showed that fight. They got punched in the mouth in Game 1. They came out in Game 2 score the 6 runs early, and win the game 6-2. But structurally, this team did not respond because the same core issues stayed. The thin margin, the bullpen instability, and the offense just disappearing some days. And eventually, that's going to catch up to you. So what was the turning point of the series? Well, it's got to be Game 1. Losing a game after your starting pitcher throws no-hit ball for 6 innings, that is the moment that changed the series. Because that's the exact type of game that good teams close. Instead, just like that, the lead's gone, the game is lost, and the pressure shifts back to us. And once that happens, the series starts feeling fragile immediately. And like I said before, I was wondering after that first game, is this just a hangover from Milwaukee? Or is it just in their heads again? Because the Yankees, the last few years, they start to struggle, and those struggles last. Those slumps last for weeks. It's not just one series. Luckily, we responded in Game 2 and won. But then the offense apparently forgot that it was a day game instead of a night game. Because they didn't show up. As for player performances, I have to give the positive to, well, first of all, Cody Bellinger's hustle. Even though he didn't have a great offensive series, that hustle, I think, salvaged one game for them. I think Goldschmidt also had a decent series. He had that home run in Game 2. And, yeah, that was the positive here. Ryan Weathers throwing no-hit ball for 6 innings. He unfortunately gets charged with the 2 runs because Hedrick allowed them to score. But I think he had a great performance. And then the concern is the bullpen again. And Hedrick is a big part of that now. That's twice that he's blown leads in the last 2 series. And you start to wonder, is it because he's overworked? They've had him pitch a ton this year. I know they had him in 9 of the first 13 games of the season. And they've continued to use him a lot. It's bound to happen where you're going to get exhausted if you're being used more than once every other day. But this bullpen problem is becoming identity threatening. So it's something that has to be fixed sooner rather than later. And the way this team is trending right now is fragile. This is the word now. Because everything feels thin. One injury. One bullpen inning. One quiet offensive game. And the whole structure collapses. So if we look at the structural check, this series exposed the danger of the Yankees' current build. What's aligned right now? As we've been saying all season, the starting pitching talent. It's there. We have a lot of really good starting pitching. Hopefully, Rodon in his next few starts, that command will get a little bit better. Cole will be back soon. Hopefully we get good news on Fried. But I'm not holding my breath on that. But the starting pitching has been outstanding. The competitive effort has been there. Because even in these losses, a lot of these losses are close games. We were talking about the record in one-run games. We were 3-8. Now we're 3-9 after losing game 1 3-2. If you can win some of those close games, that changes things. So, at least in these losses, they are mostly being competitive. Not in game 3 of this series. And the other thing that's aligned is they do still have the ability to create moments offensively. Whether that's hitting home runs, like we saw from Ben Rice, Goldschmidt, Grisham, whether it's the hustle play from Bellinger. They have the ability and the talent on this team to create offense. Just doesn't show up every day. So what's not aligned? Bullpen trust. This is by far the biggest issue on the roster right now. When it's cost you this many games in this short span of time, that is the biggest issue right now that has to be fixed. Number 2 is the offensive reliability. The offense on this team disappears way too often. For more than a third of your games, this offense, the best offense in baseball, to score 3 runs or less, that's not great. If you want to compete in October, in the playoffs, you want to have success, you need to be able to rely on that offense. Just as much as you rely on your starting pitching. And the next thing is depth protection. And this becomes a serious issue right now because the structure is already heavily dependent on starting pitching, close game execution, and limited mistakes. Now you add injuries on top of that. If Fried is out, that's a big loss. Even with Caballero out and Volpe being there, just in this one game, it's a very small sample. You can't really look too much into it. But the fact of the matter is, the Yankees didn't have an error at shortstop since, I believe, April 13th. All of a sudden, Volpe's there, and there's an error. And an offer at the plate. So, you add these injuries on top of a structure that is so dependent on these positions that are getting hurt, and suddenly the margin becomes microscopic. It is razor thin. So the biggest takeaway, this series didn't just expose weaknesses, it exposed just how vulnerable this team becomes when key pieces disappear. And we saw that in 2023 when Judge missed 50 games and the Yankees missed the playoffs completely. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen this year. I know we have a talented team. We have the second best record in the American League. We'll be fine as far as the regular season goes. But we need these key pieces come October if we want to win. So what did we learn from this series? Well, the margin is dangerously thin. And once again, this series confirmed that. You can blame it on the bullpen being overused. You can blame it on the injuries. You can blame it on certain players not performing up to their numbers, like Jazz and Wells. But the margin is thin. And all of those things happening just makes it thinner. The second thing is the injuries matter even more because of this build. The roster is not built with a whole lot of margin right now. So, because we already have all these injuries, anything else on top of it is just even more amplified. we cannot withstand another player in the starting lineup being injured. We cannot withstand one of our dominant starting pitchers being injured. So you got to hold your breath right now and hope that everybody stays healthy. And the third thing is the bullpen is now the defining concern. It's not the offense, even though it could be better. It's not the effort, because we've seen a lot of that even in these losses. But the bullpen needs to be better. If we look at our trend lines right now, our starting pitching, it kind of depends on the news we get from Max Fried, but we know we're going to get good starts from Schlittler. We've been getting good starts from Warren and Weathers. So, honestly, I'm not too concerned about that right now. I think Rodon's going to be fine. I think Cole's going to come back strong. We'll be all right with starting pitching. The bullpen is trending way, way down. The offense, because of these injuries, is trending slightly down. The health and the depth on this team is also trending down as all of these injuries pile up. And the structural stability, again, because of these injuries, is also trending downwards. So what should we look for in this next series? Well, number one, we need to wait and hear what happens with Max Fried. Hopefully we'll hear that at some point in the next couple of days. But that is the conversation right now. We need him to be okay at the end of the year. Hopefully this is just something small. But I know in the past, they've said that we've had injuries that were not a big deal, and then guys miss really big chunks of time. I'm hoping that this is very, very minor. Second thing to watch for, can the bullpen stop the bleeding? Because this is becoming unsustainable. And the third thing to watch for is, does the offense respond after another shutout? And that matters too. Because this offense can't continue to expect to win games while not scoring runs. And we're going to face the Mets. The Mets have been struggling this year. But when the Yankees and Mets play, you seem to always get the best version of the Mets. So hopefully the Yankees are up to the challenge. For our final verdict, the Yankees aren't just dealing with losing right now. They're dealing with stress on the entire structure of this team. Thin margins, bullpen instability, offensive inconsistency, and now the mounting injuries. And when a team already depends on precision to win, that combination becomes dangerous fast. This series didn't create concerns, it confirmed them. That's the standard. Not just showing you can compete, but proving that your structure can survive pressure. This is the standard with Brian Leavy.